Being recorded? Okay, now the recording has started. We missed the presentation, the start, never mind. So I just wanted to everybody to know that this is being recorded, and I'm gonna upload it to my social media, to YouTube, so the exposure can grow. So I was saying in the intro, this webinar, which I always try to do more conversations, is going to be focused on Portugal, which everybody that has joined, I assume, knows about Portugal. But today we're going to go a little bit more in depth of a bit of the history, the data, and obviously the real estate. And we're going to be speaking with two prominent members from Portugal, Sotheby's International Realty, which is the leading luxury real estate brand in the world, correct? So Duarte, if you want, we can start the presentation. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free. You have a Q&A button at the bottom, and let's start.
Okay, first of all, thank you, Ignacio, to be here. Hello, everyone. I will start with a presentation together with Virulino about Portugal. And I, as Ignacio said, most of you must know about Portugal, should know about Portugal, but we really have so many good things that's made Portugal being discovered in the world, okay? So to start with, I think you can see my presentation.
Yeah, we can see it.
So I will start to present Sotheby's in Portugal. We are present since 2007, and as Ignacio said, we are the leaders in terms of premium and luxury real estate in Portugal. We have 10 offices, okay? All of them we have together with 200 brokers that can help all the clients with all the support about every property we have. So last year, we have sold 377 million euros in houses, okay? And 52% of our clients were international. And it's kind of interesting to see the top nationalities that have changed a lot in the last years. 5 years ago, the Americans were not even in our top 5. And now the US, the Americans are our top and number 1 nationality in Portugal.
So Duarte and Virgolino also, why do you know why this shift has turned into why is it now the Americans if they weren't in the list before? I know the UK and France were very attracted to Portugal because of the special benefits, correct, that they were offering tax wise, I think, kind of. And why are the USA buyers taking the lead now?
So I can answer you. Mainly, like, Portugal was not discovered, as I mentioned, like 5 years ago, and most of our American clients are clients that come to Portugal to travel and to visit for a first time. They fell in love with what we have to offer, and they end up buying a property and spending here big journeys. And also we have tax benefits for people that would buy a house in Portugal.
Okay, yes. Something to add?
Yes, from my side, and I'm from here in Algarve.
Yes. So wait, Virgolino, let me just clarify. Can you go back to the other slide? So I want everybody to show. Okay, everybody. So Algarve is down here south, ¿vale? Algarve is esto down here south, which is, you could say, obviously the most southern point, and where we have the best beaches, or
correct, golf courses. I would say we can talk about as it's Florida of Portugal. Let's say more holiday, more relaxed lifestyle. We can say so. Even though nowadays the number of residents have increased a lot, and obviously, especially after the pandemic, people is looking for a more relaxed lifestyle, leaving the outside more than just the big cities. So obviously the big cities also have its advantages, but yes, there's different people who are picking the Algarve as and I believe similar to Florida.
So Virgolino is an example of Miami, and then we have Duarte. He's from Washington because he's from Lisbon, no?
Actually, we have everything. Like, differently, and we're going to talk a little bit further in the presentation.
Let's go
But-
back to the other one. I just wanted everybody to
No,
see in the map.
But I think it's important to also say this, because as you can see, Lisbon is in the middle, and we are just 2 hours away from Algarve. Okay, even less.
And guys, see,
So everything is so close that people can go to one place to another really easy.
so I have another question, okay? Because this is something
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, also for me, everybody, this is also important because I can also learn. So I tried to ask questions also during my own presentations, no? So if somebody sees the map of Portugal now, vale? So I imagine that I don't know anything about Portugal and I see 3 big balloons. What happens with the rest of the country?
I would say are less dense cities or towns or communities.
Okay,
And let's say here these balloons, as you say, are the main cities, obviously Porto, Lisbon, and Algarve, for example, does not have a big city that can be compared, but still has an international airport. But I would say these 3 points or are where the international airports are located, and they are just 2 hours, 2.5 hours away. Lisbon to Porto and Lisbon to Algarve. So you can cover the whole country in about 5-6 hours driving from the very south to the very north.
bueno.
It's just to give an idea.
Guys, that is incredible. That is what it takes me to go to Fort Lauderdale in a day, like with traffic.
I know. So yes, that's one aspect that it's not in our, let's say, selling points or fundamentals of Portugal, but still it's indeed a very convenient aspect. And besides that, and literally, we have Spain right to the right of Portugal, and to the west we have the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. So yes, we will have a bigger picture further ahead.
Exactly.
To see the location within Europe. But yes, Portugal is the western country of Europe, and just besides Spain, which also has a big city as Madrid, that can take international connections from, I would say, almost everywhere.
Correct. Okay, that is important. I just want to, everybody to understand what's the situation. Dale, seguimos, Duarte.
So as I was mentioning, 52% of our clients in Portugal Sotheby's are international, and our top nationalities are the US, the UK, Germany, and France, among others. As Virlinus mentioned, we are in the west coast of Europe. Okay, we have around 10 million population. We are a pretty small country. We have 5 international airports in Porto, Lisbon, Faro, in Algarve, Azores, and Madeira, and our official language is Portuguese. But we can say that, and we can say proudly that most everyone in Portugal can speak English, which is great for anyone that comes abroad and can welcome all the international clients.
Correct. Can I add something?
Exactly.
Mira, number one, Portugal is a small country, correct? It's a country, guys, that I love, I adore. We have a place there. I've been very fortunate to be able to go, and I would say I feel as Portuguese as Spanish. Bueno, un poquito menos portugués que español, pero if I ever would have to defend Portugal, I would do it. It's a small country, pero I saw a documentary the other day where it mentioned Portugal was the biggest in Europe in water rights. So it's a small country in land, pero Portugal has also it has a huge heritage, correct, guys? It has a huge history where you see it there as a small country. It's had a big, you could say, empire, and it founded tons of cities, and they were probably the best sailors in the world. And they managed to arrive to the India. Before, in those times, spices was the gold, and the Portuguese were the first ones to lead all of that. So bueno, it's a small country, but it has a huge heritage. There's other bigger countries that nobody knows about, but bueno, Portugal is small, like me, small pero grande.
Yes, and just to add, Ignacio, Portuguese as a language is probably the fourth most spoken language in the world.
Exactly.
Because of course, we can just mention Brazil, as it was also discovered by Portuguese. Many countries in Africa, and still many colonies we had in Asia, in Africa as well.
Correct.
So
in India,
all these people together, putting all these people together, so makes the Portuguese as a language. I think is the fourth or fifth most spoken language in the world, being the first the English, the second Spanish. So it's probably the third, the fourth.
Yeah, correct.
By number of people.
Yeah. So, adding to what Duarte was saying, I can give fe de que that is like that since I've been going to Portugal. One thing that surprised me was, since I was young, everything in the television, the movies were in English, so they don't translate to Portuguese, most of them. So that way the kids learn English. Y bueno, honestly, as a Spaniard, I've been able to communicate myself in Portugal anywhere I've been, if it's in Spanish or in English. So that is a favor, a point in favor of Portugal, the Portuguese people, and see, that is, I just wanted to add that.
Exactly. We always try to speak the language that the client comes from.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something really good for.
We have a very welcoming spirit,
exactly,
to the foreigners, and that's why probably foreigners feel so welcome here, wherever they come from. So we have that sense of hospitality, make them feel at home, and not just in hotels, but any people anywhere in a small village, in a small town, everybody shares this sentiment, which is excellent and highly appreciated by the foreigners. They do mention that as a point.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very good. So we are going now to see the real advantages of Portugal, right?
Exactly. Now Verlin will explain why we have 52% of our clients are from abroad, and why the Americans are coming to Portugal, and the other nationalities as well. So
Verlin, that's a photo of Lisbon, no?
Exactly. This is Lisbon. This is in Belém. Okay. This is our Golden State Bridge.
Okay. Yes. So Duarte, you keep passing then the images as I finish speaking. So I would say these few points that we are going to mention are, I would say, the real assets of Portugal, the real fundamentals of our country, and at the same time the competitive advantages that we can highlight, but also that are strongly recognized by the ones that have already moved here. So safety, obviously, is a very important point. Portugal is ranked as fourth safest country in the world. So this is obviously a very important aspect, whether you have children, or whether you want to walk around in the city and explore. Yes, Ignacio?
See, I just wanted to add that for me, this is surprising, everybody, because it's the fourth safest country in the world, but I wouldn't say it's safe because of the investment in the police and stuff, but safe because of the people, the culture. It's safe not because it's a military state, correct? Because dictatorships are very safe. I've been to Cuba, you're safe. I've been to Morocco, and you're safe. Portugal, you see the police, and I mean, you don't feel like you hardly see police, and their equipment is not the latest. So it's not safe because of a police state. It's safe because of the people. So that is very important.
Yeah, so true, Ignacio. Then obviously as economic indicators, we are obviously one of the 50th largest economies in the world. We belong to the European Union, and we have a gross domestic product in constant growth, obviously up and down as the economy. But right now, it's kind of very low unemployment rate, which is good. So this is also for me one of the reasons of the high levels of safety, and does not have, let's say, big changes in terms of the society. You don't have the very poor and the very rich. So you have a huge medium class, which is very good and creates this safety environment. And in terms of employment as well. And yeah, so we have a strong economy, and also in terms of the history of Portugal, we are one of the oldest countries in the world. So Portugal was established in 110, which is almost 1,000 years ago. Yes, Portugal has a strong culture. I think it was in the 16th or the 7th century. Portugal was one of the most powerful countries in the world. Dominated the Brazil, many countries in Africa. It could control the commerce of spices and other like carpets and handmade things from India and the Far East. So yes, this monument, for example, is a good example of that. It's the Belém Tower, so was made especially at that time as from where the sailors used to depart for their expeditions. Then, of course, you will see many monuments in the main cities and small cities as well. You'll see many monuments referring to those times. Another asset of Portugal is definitely the weather. We have in average 300 days of sun. This is real, and yes, not just to say it's let's say good to be on the beach, but also for the outdoor living that is highly appreciated here. People like to do sports outside, and also lying on the beach when necessary. When you
yes. Yeah, I just want to add for everybody, okay? The good thing about Portugal is that what the weather, the temperature is mild during the whole year, kind of. There's obviously peaks of higher temperatures in summer, but you know, I always like to think about my father, because my father, despite having grown up in Miami, he hates the heat. You know, when there's heat, he's always complaining. And the good thing about Portugal is during the day, it's hot enough to go to the beach, be outdoors. But even in summer, during the night, at least, you know, where we spend time, which is Cascais in Portugal, you have to put yourself a little jumper on. So that is amazing, you know, in the weather of Portugal, because in Spain, for example, in the south of Spain, it's hot during the day, night, and during the day, the whole day. In Portugal at night, you don't even need air conditioning in the rooms.
Ignacio,
yeah, true. It's so true, Ignacio. In let's say we have, of course, 1-2 weeks of more cold during the winter. This is about, I would say, end of January, beginning of February, but hardly temperatures go near zero. It's always stick around 10 degrees, around that. In summer, hardly reach 40 degrees. So they stay between 30, 35, 38, the hottest days. But yes, and I would say the reason of the cooler nights is because Portugal is so close to the sea, so they get the sea breeze, so makes it more soft It makes it cooler a little bit, which is nice. Obviously, the jumper, it's important not to get a cold, and staying at home instead of going to the beach the next day.
Okay, Duarte, do you want to add
Ignacio,
something?
Exactly. It's just a funny fact. Like, you know, when I was a broker, I had some clients from America actually, and they said that the easiest job in Portugal is to be weather forecast, because you only have to say in the television, tomorrow will be sun, and 90% you're gonna guess right? So
No,
it's just a funny fact.
it is true. It is true. And it's actually, it's easy to sleep, and correct, Vitorino, it's because of the ocean, most likely. But for people like my dad, I always, for people like my dad that can't stand like the heat, Portugal is the place to go. So if you're watching this and you don't like the heat during summer, but you want to be able to go to the beach, call us.
Exactly.
Very good. Yes. Moving on, Duarte. Yes, this is a very important point. World-class infrastructures, and they keep improving. Let's say Portugal has right now 5 international airports. You can fly from the United States, South America to Brazil, also to Asia, to Africa, to the northern countries, and from all Europe to Faroe. So we have excellent road coverage, communication technology. So just reading here, second best motorway system in Europe. This is so true, and for kind of a small country as we are, we have a very good coverage, and international schools as well. Just in Algarve, because I know it from here, just this year, and it opened another 3 international schools. So this shows well how we are adapting to the new kind of community and the residents' lifestyle, because many people is leaving London, is leaving big cities to settle down here in Algarve, and obviously they have small kids that need to go to school.
Correct. Look, let me add something important. Number one, we speak a lot a todo el mundo, okay? We speak a lot about Brazil. Obviously, the ties between Brazil and Portugal, they're obviously very strong, same as for Spain with the rest of the Latin American countries, correct? Just so everybody knows, the monarchy that used to rule Portugal exiled to Brazil and led Brazil, correct? The Portuguese monarchy established itself in Brazil. So, and then there was a revolution in Portugal, I think, or something like that. But for everybody to understand that, Brazil and Portugal, the link they have is obviously very strong.
The brother country.
Yeah, the brother country. And I think they do like not like I'm not gonna. Okay, so let's go into.
Ignacio, just one more point in the healthcare system, because this is something really important. Like, we really have affordable healthcare. Okay, so we have a lot of people from the US and from other countries where the healthcare system is really expensive, to come to Portugal to have more affordable healthcare.
See, I assume it's also treatment. Like retirees, people that are not working anymore, and that is a very important point. Y luego también, I would also like to highlight, Portugal is located in a strategic geographical point, correct? It's for example, the war in Ukraine with Russia, when the times were tense, a lot of people from Germany, Poland, people that were close to the war, they decided to move some time to Portugal, which is at the other extreme of Europe, correct? So we're very fortunate because we're always in a good position, correct? And then I would like to highlight a second thing, which is the main difference between Spain, the country that I'm from, that I love, with its pros and with the many cons, but I'll highlight the pros. But politically, politics is very important, correct? Unfortunately, because that's what's gonna rule the country, and in Spain, the difference between Spain and Portugal has, the politicians aren't superstars. That's what my dad says. In Spain, politics is like everywhere. Like politicians are superstars. In Portugal, it's more low key, and Portugal doesn't have any regional, national movements like we do have in Spain. The Basque Country, Catalonia, which obviously affects negatively the rule and the order of the country. So Portugal is very safe, politically very stable. It may be conservatives, socialist ruling, but stable, low key, and it doesn't have any internal turmoil. So that is very important if you're looking for a place, to not listen about politics, because I think we're all disgusted about politics up to date. And know that you're in a place, in a country that may have its things, but it's, internally the Portuguese coexist happily, live well. Pues that is important. It doesn't matter if you're in Oporto, if you go to Algarve, nobody's going to want to kick you out, no? Yeah. So as a Spanish, I had to say that, because I remember when.
Yeah, it's true.
I remember when I wanted to go to the Basque Country when I was young, with my father, with my mother, because we have family there. You couldn't go there so easily, being from Madrid. Pero bueno, back to Portugal.
Right.
Let's continue. Just one thing, Ignacio, they are saying here in the Q&A that the chat is disabled. You could check.
Sí.
And
The chat is disabled. Hi, Bruce. Bueno, if the chat is disabled, I think it's working because you asked. So try again. If anybody wants to ask any question, feel free.
Berlin.
Yes, for food and wine. Obviously, gastronomy is one of the highly appreciated points of Portugal. Obviously, our cuisine uses a lot from seafood, fresh fish, and also we are part in the Mediterranean diet, using a lot of olive oil, olives, garlic. These are the base of our recipes, and without forgetting the wine, we have some world-class wines. And just to mention, we have for a small country, this is quite something, 33, and probably today even more, 33 Michelin star restaurants, not just in hotels, but also detached from hotels, which are at the world-class level, like you have them in the most known cities around the world. So this is kind of Portugal tradition, and even if you don't want to go to a Michelin star restaurant, you also have those traditional restaurants where you can eat as well as the locals do, but also the really fresh coming from the sea or from the farm. Okay, also for leisure and fun, Portugal has a lot to do. As we keep mentioning, we live a lot outside, so most of our time is spent with outside activities, and that goes from surf to golf to sports to football. We are big fans of football, soccer, but at the same time, yes, for golf we have many locations for surf as well, top quality, and also part of the big competitions. And yes, the lifestyle in Portugal is very much the outside. Okay.
Correct. So just adding to that, guys, the food in Portugal, the seafood, in the US, why do Americans love and the British, why do they love Portugal? Porque te comes el mejor marisco, the best marisco, guys. It's in Galicia, the north of Spain, and in Portugal. So it's, I don't want to criticize Miami because I live here, guys, but the reality is the food here is horrible. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, the food is not good, okay? And everybody that lives here knows it, and super expensive. In Portugal, the good thing is the food is cheap, the wine is cheap, and everything is the highest quality because it's super organic. I mean, they don't even have to put the label of organic, okay? Because everybody knows that the food is good. So that is the truth. And for golf lovers, correct. I mean, I think it's the perfect match. Golf, good weather, good beaches, and good temperature for for all the Americans that have made their money and they just want to live a peaceful, relaxed life with their wives, with their kids. So yes, I just wanted to highlight. I don't play golf as of yet. I'll start to learn because I know we're in an industry that we have to learn. Do you know how to play golf, Virolina?
No, not yet, and probably for the same reason of you, Ignacio.
Okay, but we have to start the Sotheby's Portugal classes.
You know what? I'm going to organize in September. I'm going to organize the first Sotheby's golf tournament in September.
That's good.
And that's going to be held here in Algarve in September, so 16th of September. It's already fixed the date. And yes, talking to a client the other day, he was making me comfort about not playing golf at this time. There are former tennis players playing golf. There are former drivers, former sports people. There are no former golfers.
See, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Exactly.
It's never too late to start.
Exactly. I'm just too hyperactive to be there. For me, golf is like I would have to take a pill to play golf.
So after hearing that from that client, I don't feel guilty.
No, I think we have to start. Okay.
No, it's so true. Yeah. So in terms of destination, Portugal. So here a few awards, just to mention a few that we've got over the last few years. So Europe's leading destination, 30 awards in total. Leading island destination, Madeira. Actually, we have not mentioned Madeira yet. Madeira is it's an island of Portugal. It's just south near Africa. Still, it's a beautiful island, also with an international airport, and with big interest from US buyers these days as well.
Correct. So let's add Madeira is obviously it's where Cristiano Ronaldo's from, and also it's
exactly.
And it's also look, since I never knew since I've lived abroad, everyone on here and I've been able to meet. The good thing about Miami is there's so many people from Latin America, correct? From Venezuela, from Peru, from Chile. It's surprising how many people I've met. I just got back from Mexico and there was a Venezuelan, from Miami, and he was from Portuguese origin, from Madeira. So the community is very big. Madeira could be similar to the Canary Islands in Spain, which is, beautiful islands. But during the times of struggle in the past, they were also the ones that would emigrate, no? So they formed big communities in Venezuela and other cities, but mainly in Venezuela and Latin America. And now you're having a lot of those Venezuelans, of those Portuguese that lifted Venezuela, okay, because there's many Portuguese that made a lot of money in Venezuela. And, after the political situation, they've decided to move back to Portugal. So, I just wanted to point out, no, que Madeira is a beautiful location, and it's also history-wise, it's mainly the location that emigrated.
And we also have an office there, performing very well these days as well.
Same.
Okay.
Exactly.
Duarte. Yes, Lisbon has recently been awarded as the best city to invest in Europe. This takes in consideration a few key factors, like universities, purchase power, average salaries, price per square meter for residency, And yes, so it's considered right now one of the best cities to invest, especially because the price per square meter is still far from the big cities like Paris, Madrid, London. It's still a big difference, and has it all that we've been mentioning. So it's considered a good deal these days.
All in more, right? We do have
More value for money, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Yes, just a few data from the Portuguese real estate market. So it represents about 13% of the gross domestic product, so 31 billion euros. Foreign buyers in Portugal are 10% in general. Okay, in our market segment that Sotheby stand for are much higher, are nearly 50%, as we just mentioned. So okay, just mentioned the next row, and yes, the top foreign buyers are right now the US, and the UK, and Germany, and France. So the US, the American clients just came up as kind of suddenly over the last 3 to 5 years, just because, let's say, and I remember over the last 3-5 years also, the New York Times, some media companies started to raise interest about Portugal, creating some articles. I had the opportunity to contribute to a few, and I think Portugal was very well promoted in America. So in the last few years, we've had many tourists from United States, and as a natural consequence, so they found it as a nice place to live, and the first buyers started to happen, just because they find everything that they like. They also find it here at a good level, and obviously not depreciating at all the UK buyers, the German buyers that were also surprised these days. And as Ignacio just mentioned a few minutes ago, over the last 2 years, we had a huge, we noticed this movement, people from Poland, even from Ukraine as well, that wanted to be very far away from, want to move away from the war. So many rich Ukrainian families settled down here in Portugal. They bought property. They have their children in school here. So also for the safety and also for all the other aspects that we mentioned. Yes.
Two things. Okay, so we're getting questions mainly about, Fred is asking, I don't know if we're going to speak about this. No, can you share how property tax works in Portugal? Then we have my friend Bruce saying that he was there last July. The food is amazing. My grandfather came from Viela area in the northern Portugal, and now he's here with us in Miami. And then John Zinman is asking what fees, taxes, etc. are you charged in purchasing real estate in Portugal? Are we going to speak about that? Do you have a slide or?
Well, actually, no, we have not a slide for that, but we can provide some general information.
Yeah.
So yes, round numbers. You can consider about 7-8% as purchase tax on the top of your purchase. Okay, this is round numbers, and just because there are two taxes, one as purchase tax and stamp duty, so the two together make about 7-8% of the purchase price.
Whichever price of the home you buy in Portugal, it's around 7-8.
It's an increasing scale.
Okay.
Let's say, but from 1 million up, then it's definitely flat at 8.2%. But below the 1 million, there are brackets, and maybe a little bit less than that. So that's why I'm mentioning this number because it's
Okay.
probably easier to do a quick calculation.
And what about the property taxes that you have to pay annually? How much is that? In Miami, we pay around 1.8 of the purchase price.
Okay. Well,
That's
here
a
is
lot.
much lower. Here
Exactly.
is much lower.
Exactly.
It's not at all related to the purchase price.
Okay.
That is related when you buy the property and pay that the acquisition tax. But annually you pay a council tax, which comes from the tax value of the property, which
Okay.
is definitely lower than its market value.
Okay.
So I would say it's about 70% of the market value, and is 0.3%. At least here in Algarve, probably
Yeah, it's around that.
slightly higher, 0.4, 0.5%, from the tax value. Okay, regardless the market value of. Okay.
Okay. Other questions. What percentage of financing is allowed in purchasing real estate?
You mean people who want to raise a mortgage?
Yeah.
Okay, so banks they lend for foreigners up to 80%.
Oh, that's not bad, eh?
Of the
Up to
valuation,
80%.
of the valuation. Okay,
Yes.
it's important.
What is that of the valuation? What does that mean?
Of the bank, okay?
Oh,
For
of course.
instance, if a house is market as 1 million and the bank values at 1.1, it's 80% of the 1.1. Okay.
Okay, and then we have another question. As an American citizen who establishes residency there, is your income also taxed?
Yes, there are a few programs, and our experience with the U.S. clients actually, let's say, I think for the American clients, if they change their tax residency, so they may lose their American passport. So they always prefer to pay taxes in the US, even though they can live here part of the year. Okay, this has been our experience in terms of residency. Okay, but of course they can live here at least a good six months, not to be liable for tax, and still enjoy and have their tax done in the US. Okay. But yes, other let's say there are programs for if for example even for some Americans that want to become tax residents here as well, or if we have other nationalities in the audience. So there are the non-habitual residency program that taxes, let's say you'd have to the taxes are paid on your overall income, and if they are not earned in Portugal, they are as low as 10%. Okay.
Is that if you are mainly if you are a pensioner, if you are living in a pension, if you are a retiree, you pay 10%. Other than that, you pay max flat 20%.
Yeah, if you earn income in Portugal, generated from Portugal business and so. Okay. So yes, I would say about these particular the legalities, taxes, and so we are partnering with a few companies that ensure all the advisor all the advice for these investments. We have lawyer companies, we have rental management companies. So all these partners, let's say, can also guide, and at some point we can get the necessary information when we are ready to go ahead with it. So sorry, Ignacio, we're not here listening to you. No, you're still mute, Ignacio.
Sorry. I say more questions. For those people looking to retire there, living full time of investments, how would they be taxed? Do you guys know? Or for those people who are looking to retire there, living full time of their own investments, how would they be taxed?
So they buy a property, so they pay the normal purchase tax. And then they are only considered as residents for tax purposes if they spend more than 183 days, which is the 6 months here in Portugal.
Correct. So if Robert decides to buy a property and move to Portugal, and he has investments abroad that, guarantee him monthly income, correct? And he wants to live in Portugal for the rest of his life, as a retiree. Would he have to, how would that work? Would he pay taxes, in Portugal for the money he brings from abroad?
No, I would say it will depend on where he will want to have his residency for tax purposes.
Okay.
And let's say if he does not want to leave United States for that reason, because I think there is a relation with the passport as well. So they may spend 6 months here without paying any tax.
Okay, anonymous attendee is saying, once again, Americans will be taxed in US only if he quit from his nationality. Correct. US buyers, US citizens, once they declare taxes, once in the US, have to declare taxes the rest of their life. Correct. Yep, that is true. So how can Americans get citizenship? Are golden visas still available?
So the golden visa program, it's about to end in a few weeks, in a few months. We have had let's say a last minute run for the last applications, but it's official that is about to end. There's not a date, a specific date for that to happen, but it's going to be quite soon.
Pero Virgolino, what was the impact of the golden visas so important in the sales of real estate, or is it a bit more of a myth?
Exactly. I think, let's say, obviously in some particular cases, the golden visa made the whole difference.
Okay.
But in many cases, even the clients did not qualify for the golden visa. They still wanted to have a place here and I would say, going back to the previous point in terms of the residency, I would say, at least from the clients that have already bought and that we keep a good relation and close contact, they don't spend more than 6 months here. They spend probably 2-3 months. They travel within Europe. They come back to Portugal. They go to US. They come back. So all together, they don't spend more than the 6 months here. So they have no tax obligations here in Portugal. And they still live in Portugal. They travel, and yes. So yes, what? Go ahead.
No, just to mention that golden visa only represents like 1% of the whole transactions of real estate in Portugal. So
exactly, that's what I had.
We do have so many others visas that people could choose from that are way easier to get.
So look, everybody, this is a bit my opinion, okay? This is, as always, Ignacio is responsible for his words, and this is what I believe. The golden visa was obviously an important, it did. I don't know if there were so many transactions, but worldwide, it gave good publicity. And obviously Spain and Portugal. I always speak of Spain because that's my country, but I also very close to Portugal, Spain, and they're very similar. Spain and Portugal and Italy, the southern states of Europe after the 2008 crisis, were the nations that were most hit, correct, in Europe. So the Portuguese government, acted swiftly and imposed this golden visa to attract obviously more foreign capital, etc. What did that do? That obviously made, I just think with all these foreign buyers moving to Portugal, I speak about Duarte and Birolina, just to be clear, I speak about the pros and the cons, and there's always both aspects, correct? And I don't like to bullshit anyone, and all this huge international buyers, they obviously come to Lisbon, they buy real estate prices of real estate go up. So, you know, in any nation, there's pros and cons, correct? Big international cities like London, Paris, Madrid, when you have so many foreign buyers moving there, prices go up. So many Portuguese people, which still have low salaries, can't afford to live in the most prominent or center city living, correct? That is the reality. Pero the pros are that all these foreign people actually buy from the Portuguese that old real estate.
They bring money into the country.
Exactly. Exactly. Fill the restaurants, you know. So in general terms, it's good. Pero I just think that the government, which is currently socialist, okay, but to all my US buyers, socialists in Portugal is pretty relaxed, okay. It's not like socialists like here in the US, okay. So, and I'm telling you that, and I'm not socialist, so it's pretty relaxed. They have done a good job in many things. But I think it's just taking the golden visa where everybody's just like a mini excuse to calm a bit the nerves of the most, you know, left-wing people in the country, which are always complaining about everything. And it's just a way to say, like, look, we take away the golden visa, so now, you know, prices won't go up as much. That's my opinion.
And Ignacio, in the last 2 years, the golden visas have only applied for touristic developments, okay?
Okay.
And a few exceptions in the very low density locations, okay?
Okay.
So in the first few years of the program, yes, any piece of real estate was eligible for golden visa. Then 2 years ago, it was only possible to get a golden visa if a property was acquired in a touristic development, which then it's not creating any conflict with the normal, let's say, resident or normal housing for Portuguese people. So it's revealed to be pointless to blame the golden visa for that.
Correct.
But yes, I think, and these are the words of the Prime Minister some weeks ago, that the golden visa was important at some point, and right now it has done its job. Okay, so but in fact we've had many cases where the clients come, that can be, let's say, a good interest point to get in contact and to learn about the country. But when they are here, and sometimes they realize for some reason they are not eligible for golden visa, but still they buy property because they don't want to be in the low density locations, or they don't want to be in a touristic development. So they want to have a normal villa, they want to have a standalone villa, they want to have a nice location by the beach and not be subject to the touristic regulations or so. And they end up buying the same way. So let's say it's more of a myth, and these days we know it's going to end, but the fundamentals of Portugal will remain. So exactly. This makes me very comfortable about the coming years, because these aspects that we mentioned up to here will remain with or without golden visa. So
exactly, and the name is just going to change, guys. The name is just going to change. Sorry, Eduardo. The name is, now they have the nomad visa, correct? Now they have the nomad visa, which is a visa where employees that make more than 3,000 a month, you know, with all the working from home scenario, they grant visas. So, you know, they take one thing away, bring another. So no worries, guys. Portugal, as I said, Eduardo, yep.
And also it's important to mention that, like, we had a lot of cases that people from abroad come to or ask for information for housing in Lisbon, and they end up buying in Algarve and the opposite, because when they first reach Portugal, they don't know anything, and our team, which is spread around the 10 offices, is able to explain everything.
Exactly.
So Let's continue.
Yeah, and one more thing, guys, because I have two more questions and we'll continue now a bit more fast, okay? So somebody's asking, so if I understand you correctly, if you're an American looking to retire and live full-time in Portugal, if you maintain your American passport, you will be responsible for paying taxes in both countries, or you can opt to give up your American passport and only pay taxes in Portugal. So look, I'm going to explain that. As US citizens, Robert, you and myself, we're screwed because we're the only nationality in the world that always has to declare their income at least, correct? So my sister and my brother, they worked for, I think, like a year or 2 years in the US prior to moving back to Madrid to Spain. And every year they have to not pay taxes at least, but they do have to declare, you know, what their income is, etc. And I don't know why, but they don't have to pay. So I do know that Spain has a dual alignment with the US tax-wise, and I think Portugal might also have that. But it's hard to opt out of your American passport. That's number one. The US doesn't make it easy. Unfortunately, and it doesn't make, if you're an American, and it's hard to leave. And yeah, you just have to declare. I don't know, you most likely, I don't know if you have to pay, but you do have to declare for sure. But as I said, usually between Europe and the US, there is agreements of dual taxation, and you know, you pay somewhere. And
exactly.
But as mentioned, if you need more information, Robert, our team in Portugal, our financial advisors, we sell real estate. Obviously, we have some knowledge, of course, but depending on each person's scenario, pues we have to redirect him to someone. What is the average price? Another question. What is the average price for Lisbon and Algarve?
Very quick question.
Yes. Actually, it's a good question, Duarte. I believe you can speak about you can speak for Lisbon. I can speak for Algarve.
Yeah.
Well, we in Sotheby's we cover mostly properties from 500,000 euros and up. So right now the euro and the US dollar are very much in line. Makes it cheaper than any time to buy here compared to the euro. I would say for 500,000 euros you can get a 2-bedroom apartment. So prices on the new developments are about 5,000-6,000 euros per square meter, just right now. These times 10,000 for the square feet, and it's about so 60. No, we can make that quick calculation. I just don't have it here, but it's times 10 meter to square meter to square feet. So 5,000, 6,000 euros per square meter. It's an average price for the Algarve. Of course, you can have primary locations that can reach up to 10, 12, or even 15. But the 7,000 is a good average, and a good you get a good value for money.
Okay,
let's
in
Lisbon.
Yeah,
Let me in Lisbon, and then of course at Sotheby's, our average transaction in Portugal is around 1.1 million euros. Okay, and on average in Lisbon, I would say new construction would like 9,000 per square meter. Okay, which is, or 10, which is around like 1,000 euros per square feet. I think is roughly right, Ignacio. Is dividing by 11, right?
yeah.
The conversion. So yeah. So let's move forward.
Just to add there, why is it 1,000 per square foot? That is the very prime locations, correct?
Exactly. Really prime location.
Remember, guys, that Portugal has something which is land scarcity. If you want to buy in Cascais and Estoril, which are like top areas, the only way to develop there is, you know, demolishing existing buildings, and bringing up new ones. So yeah, depending on the location, but a prime in Portugal is prime.
Yes, we are talking about super prime, yeah.
Okay, let's move now a bit quicker because ya llevamos una hora que nos ponemos a hablar y
Okay.
que me pongo a
So,
hablar.
further data about the real estate market. So if you decide to rent out your property either for short term or long term, you can get a good yield out of it. So short term between 5 and 12% if you are lucky. Long term is more stable, around 5-6% is quite normal as well. Construction costs for let's say a lower end 1,500, higher end 2,500 and higher. So I would put an average right now with the increase of construction costs around the 2,000, just to be fair and up to date, for a decent quality property. Okay, tax benefits. Yes, Portugal still have very attractive tax programs, and obviously the tax is a very sensitive point and also very different from one person to another. So if you have any specific point, let us know, and we will guide you through our partners so you can get the best information.
So just to
So here, in terms of the main locations, so you can consider Lisboa as Lisbon, Cascais, as Ignacio was mentioning, Porto, Algarve, and Madeira. So all of them, we are present. We have at least one office in every of these locations. And I would say they are all excellent. It just depends a little bit on what is the lifestyle that you want to live. So there is nothing wrong with Lisbon in comparison to Porto or Cascais in comparison to Algarve. It just has different things to offer, and if you value more of one aspect and not another. So I would say if Ignacio can then make a connection with any of these offices when you or a client of yours can be interested in one of these locations. And right now we are going to pass for the development division that is secured by Duarte.
okay.
So please, Duarte.
I know that we are running out of time, but just to be pretty quick and to give you some idea what we have to offer in Portugal, okay, in terms of new developments, some properties. So I brought 2 developments, one in Estoril, which is composed by 5 apartments, okay, this is a gated community, condominium. We are talking about 5 minutes away from the beach, 20 minutes away from the city center of Lisbon, 30 minutes away from the international airport, to see how close we are from everywhere. In terms of some characteristics, we are talking about top location in Estoril, a gated condominium with 5 apartments, all with private swimming pools and outside areas and stunning views over the sea. Now going to Algarve, 2 hours away from Lisbon. Also, we are talking about now the gig of Greens Vila Moura, which is a condominium of 89 units, okay, 8 minutes away from the golf course, Victoria Golf Course, as you can see in one of the images, 14 minutes away from the beach, 30 minutes away from Faro International Airport, which is stunning. Top location, Vila Moura, one of the best locations in Algarve, sustainable development with multiple amenities such as common swimming pool, a condominium room, private pools for the penthouses, private garden for all the ground floors apartments, and all of the apartments have some outside area. In terms of some properties across Portugal, just for you to have a glimpse of what we have to offer, we have this apartment in Porto, okay, with this stunning view, is ready to be.
You like the word stunning, huh?
Yeah, actually I said twice. Yeah, you're right. So this villa in Cascais, or like this is one of the best villas we have in our portfolio.
See, this is, can you go back to that villa a second? This is, I listed this property, guys, with a friend of mine is the owner that bought the lot that is developing this home. It's one of the best architects in Portugal. It's located in Cascais, which is next to Estoril. Just for everybody to understand, Cascais and Estoril Cascais was it was like a fisherman's town in the past. Now it's a mega luxurious, but it's, place, but it still has that village feeling, which is completely magical. And there's tons of new developments going there. I live in Cascais. It's amazing. And Estoril is also the history of Estoril is amazing. Just super important points. Estoril is where great leaders and people have exiled, correct? The dictator of Cuba, Batista, lived in Estoril. The king of Spain, Juan Carlos, lived in Estoril. So there's a huge history, okay? And then it also has the biggest casino, the largest casino in Europe, okay? And during the Second World War, Portugal, it wasn't in any of the, it was neutral. Estoril became the hub of espionage during the Second World War, okay? The casino, etc. So it's locations which have a big history. So yeah, just wanted to add that. I love history, so.
Now one penthouse in Lisbon, brand new, also ready to be used, with the stunning view over the river. Another great villa in Algarve, in Val do Lobo, one of the best places in Algarve, right on the golf course. This is, Ignacio knows pretty well this villa as well, and as you can see in these photos, it is really amazing. And it's all. Thank you, everyone. I think we are now have time for any question that you may have.
I think
I'm more than happy to.
No, I think we've answered all the questions during the presentation, guys. Bueno, I think we're done. Thank you, my friends Duarte, Virgolino, for joining this program. I'll upload to my social media and to YouTube. Y nada, let's I don't have millions of views yet, but bueno, you have to start somewhere, no? If you never start, you'll never get there. So that's
no, thank you, Ignacio. Great job. And yes, we are here for any question that any of your clients or of our colleagues have. Let us know, and we'll be ready to address all those.
Exactly. Thank you again, Ignacio. It was a pleasure to be here.
Okay, thank you, everyone, and I'll see you too soon, my friends. Un abrazo fuerte.
Gracias, amigos.
Bye, bye.
Gracias, Ignacio. Gracias.
Bye.